We are so close. Well, yeah, I guess we did. We're at 705.
はい、お待たせしました。
Thank you, Twitch chat. You're all
続い
amazing.
てのタイトルは、エターナルダークネス、招かれた、13人になります。こちら解説の方、いらっしゃいます。ソードフィッシュさんですが、ちょっとね、まだ本家の方で準備の方ありますので、しばらくお待ちください。もしかしたらちょっとね、準備に時間かかるかもしれないので、まあ、長らく、しばらくご歓談していただけるとありがたいです。で、続いて、このエターナルダークネスの続いてクオンもまた担当されるということなので、チャンネルはそのままでお願いします。またクオンの後に、3ダーティードワーブズというタイトルがありまして、その後に今度はまた日本人奏者のハリトモさんがみんな大好き塊魂走りますので、そうですね、しばらくチャンネルそのままでいただけるとね、個人的にはというか、また我々はとってもね、嬉しいです。クオンの発音間違ってる。ごめんなさい。クオンですかね。ごめんなさい。完全にパオンのそれだと思ってました。普通に、ちょっと、普通にホラー苦手なので、普通にピエン怖かったですが、大丈夫かな。まあ、ちょっとね、なるべく驚かないように気をつけたいと思います。呪音と同じ感じ。なるほど。ク音ですかね。
Here's a cool idea. I have a $9 donation from Kinetica, donating $9 every time I hear You Are Not Alone from Final Fantasy IX between runs. Donate to your favorite songs. Thank you so much.
ですかね。結構ね、他のリストリームの方とか、本家の方でも結構、
Alright, Twitch chat. It has been
いい評判だったようで。
lovely being with you tonight. I'm going to go ahead and let you hear a word from Twitch, but also when we come back, we'll be joined by the lovely, the amazing, the Kyle Thomas. So hang in tight for that, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and night. See you soon.
あ、解説の方。木島さんですね。お疲れ様でした。本当に助かりました。多分一人だったらいろいろ耐えられなかったかもしれません。ちょっとね、ホラーも苦手なので、ちょっと逃げてたかもしれない。ね、本当ね、素晴らしい解説で助かりました。音楽が非常に癒される感じの BGM が流れてますね。あ、クロノクロストリガーの曲ですかね。ちょっとあんまり RPG の楽曲詳しくないのであれです。ごめんなさい。クロノクロスの曲。なるほど、なるほど。いい曲ですね。この BGM を聴きながらまたホラーに入る感じですかね。あ、本当だ。今気づきました。右下じゃない。左下の方に、どの音楽のどういうアレンジか 局面とか載っておりますね。
Welcome back to Awesome Games Done Quick 2022 Online powered by Twitch. I am the Kyle Thomas. I'm going to be hanging out here with you all for the next couple games. Here in this horror block, I'm getting spooky in the darkness. Hope you all are too. We've had some amazing support, all kinds of donations coming in. Got some amazing games coming up here. I'm going to read just a couple donations for you.
まだまだちょっとセットアップの方時間かかりますのでお待ちください。
For $25, they say no comment here. Or is there? No. No comment here. Thank you. We're getting back into the comment, no comment, no comment stuff. I love it. And we've had people requesting puns before. We've had people requesting haikus. I am here for all of that. So if you've got any of that weird, wacky dad joke stuff, please bring it on in. Because, you know, these horror games, I get a little scared. So I need a little levity just to feel a little better here in the darkness. I've got a $100 donation here from Occipital Lopi. Thank you so much for that donation and for all that kindness. This has just been such an amazing GDQ. We have already flown past $700,000. This is literally a record pace GDQ. It's just amazing to see how fast this is going. You're all so generous. This hype is just so great. I'm just in awe to be a part of it and here hanging out with you, Chad.
そうですね。先ほどちょっと読めなかった今回のイベントの概要の方、もう一回読ませていただきますね。現在、ジャパニーズリストリームでは、オンライン RTA イベント、オーサムゲームズダンクイックの様子を日本語公認ミラー配信しておりますが、オーサムゲームズダンクイックは、ゲームズダンクイックのツイッチチャンネルで行われるプリベントキャンサーファウンデーションを、支援するためのオンラインチャリティ RTA イベントです。今回のイベントの寄付先であるプリベントキャンサーファウンデーションはアメリカに本拠地を置く慈善団体で、がんの早期発見と予防を通じてあらゆる人々の命を救うということを使命としております。寄付と関連してですね、特定のゲームには高難易度の変更やエンディングの選択などが予定されており、項目ごとに設定された目標寄付金額を達成した際に行われます。また、寄付金額を表に見立てたビットウォーによってキャラクター名や選択肢などが決定されることもあります。寄付金額に対する報酬などは URL で確認。ちょっと待ってください。URL が貼れない。
If you do a $25 minimum donation just for the next couple games, I think we're wrapping up the availability for this.
はい、URL で確認することができます。ごめんなさいね。直接の寄付はちょっとできないかもしれませんが、ぜひ一度チャレンジしてください。といった感じでしょうかね。ちょっと微妙にトラブりましたが。またね、イベントは16日のお昼頃まで開催中なので、最後までお楽しみください。といったところで、解説の方、来ていただきました。ソードフィッシュさんです。よろしくお願いします。お疲れ様でした。
ちょっとちょいちょい飲み物飲むかもしれないですけど。
I've got $10 from Dianis26. They say, how do I power up a donation train ticket for the Eternal Darkness run?
いや、ということでね、エターナルダークネス。
Bargon.
まあ、これはね、すごいいいゲームですよ、これは。
The word from Eternal Darkness that's always in my head is
YouTube で出てましてね。
And we've got
あれ、音量はちっちゃい。
block with $50 donation. They say, I remember playing Eternal Darkness as a
これらの方で対応しているようですので、少々お待ちください。
Stay awesome. Well, you know what? I got some great news. I've got the runner here ready to roll. So we're going to take it over to Pandora Jane, running Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. Take it away.
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
日本語音声、日本語版ですね。はい。
Everyone looking wherever you're And I'm here, your runner, Pandora. And I'm presenting you
まあね、多分日本語の方が文字数が少ないので、早いのかなというふうに思う。
category, 80% no cuts in storage. But I'm not alone. Sorry. So I'm gonna present to you my couch. So we have Big Nono.
Hello, I'm Big Nono. I also run this game sometimes.
Then we have Gibger.
Hi, I'm
で
Gib
今回のカテゴリーのノーカット
And we have
シンストレージっていうのを、このカットストレージっていう、カットシンストレージという技を使わないもののことで、カットストレージという技を使うとですね、なんとこのゲーム10分以内に確かクリアできるのかなというぐらいに、結構ぶっ壊れてるゲームなんですよね。
So, anyone, tell me,
そのカットストレージのこの走りができるのがこの方だけです。このパンドラさんだけです。彼女しか走れません。
There's going to be a bunch of characters that we explore through the game. Right now, she's experiencing a nightmare. She's going to wake up and she's going to find out that her
しばし、まあ、おたわむれですね。
in a mysterious fashion, his face was just gone, missing a head. No one knows what happened, so she has to go to her grandfather's mansion in Rhode Island and try to figure out what exactly went on. Through the course
これは
of the
別
game,
に倒しても倒さなくともいい気がするんですけど、まあ、今回は
several pages. And each chapter basically is going to explore these
マラソン
different
だから
characters in different time periods.
マラソンというかイベントだからやってるんでしょうか。
So that Alexandra will have that knowledge. And
はい、ということで、ここから進めるようになります。
Alright, so we're gonna start this
このアレック
also
ス
right
と
here.
いうのが、まあ、メイン主人公なんですが、それの祖母がね、祖母じゃない、祖父が亡くなってしまって、その死の謎を解き明かすというのが、まずは大きな話。
Which is kind of a Necronomicon. Exactly. So Alex is gonna take some time to get impressed there. That's because I punched the door when I opened. So
で、
you
この
can tell me what
この
happens when I punch
古い
doors.
書物というのがですね、エターナルダークネスの書というものでして、この書物に選ばれた13人の人たちをここから順次操っていくということになります。で、これは一章ですね。いきなり古代ローマかな。古代ローマのパイアスというキャラクターになります。
And he hears some voices coming from obelisks, and he's like,
古代ローマのこのパイアスがなんかペルシャかどっかの遺跡に迷い込むみたいなお話です。
You're gonna
So
see
this
the
right here is the first streak. Yeah, go ahead. No. Tell me about it.
Yeah, we're gonna explain
ちなみになんですけど、これ
pickups.
カットストレージを使うと誰も免れずに終わります。いや、一人アレックスだけ、屋敷に招かれるので、一人だけ招いて、タイトルは招かれた13人なんですけど、一人ですね。招かれた一人です。
Yeah, and right here you're gonna see 4 runes.
このゲーム、この4つのねですね、属性っていうのが結構重要になってきますね。この属性ですね。まあ、これは何でしょう、3すくみみたいになっていて、後ほどですね、その属性が付与されている敵みたいのがいるんですけども、その敵の有効のダメージ稼ぐのに、そういう色、対抗色になっているものを武器にエンチャントして倒すみたいな。
This game likes to mess with the sanity of players and like characters and players themselves, you know.
3すくみなんですけど4つ目があるんですが、それはですね、まあ、次回作のフラグみたいな感じなんですが、未だにフラグが回収されてません。
So Pandora is targeting the different parts of the body and taking them off to progress through this door. You can actually do this later in the game. Specifically target arms, take those off, target heads, or even the torso. That's used in a few
ボタンを押
places
し
to
て
get through.
押してないですね。はい。これもボタンを押しますかの時に適切なタイミングで
to do something
向きを
called
変えて
portal.
進
So
行
we're
方
gonna
向
explain
に
that
作って
later.
いま
Don't
す。
worry about it. We're gonna explain at the end of the game. For now, we have to
そしてここ、
explain
この
what is
み
this.
今3つ秘宝があるんですが、そのうちの1つを選びます。これ結構重要なので、重要なことで、この何を選んだかによってボスが変わってきます。
We always knew, like, kind of from the beginning, back to 2005, the first speedrun of this game, that Chaturga was slow. But then there was
ただ
some
早速、
discussion. We
チ
believe
ャプター2章の
Seloja was
エリアと
faster
死神
for
と
quite
い
a
うところに
while,
来ました。
and then eventually runners starting to crack Ulyaoth. And the reasons for that will come
今回はカンボジアがどっかの遺跡ですね。西暦1150年かな。
those differences.
Yeah, basically, there's a lot of different enemies that spawn in the game depending on which path you choose. And if you play in a casual playthrough, you can play through each of the paths, and it gives you a really cool save file. And there's like a really cool final cutscene if you want to check it out. But basically, it affects enemy spawns. That's the most important part.
ここで新たな要素、サニティという要素がありまして、
Is Elia.
これがですね、精神ゲージみたいなもので、これが少なくなってくると幻覚などを見てプレイの進行に影響を及ぼすというものです。
Where if you did it just right, you could hit the zombie while the cutscene happened. Unfortunately, it looks like
これの回復する呪文みたいなエンチャントみたいなのもあります。
I actually got it.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah. We got the cutscene merch. So that doesn't say that much time. It's like 2 seconds. But you use a property of this game that sometimes it allows you to pause on places you're not supposed to.
でこの罠にはまるとダメージ食らうんで調整してました
So we
ね。
did that, finish the zombie during one cutscene, trigger the cutscene of the zombie, and
ここで
then
強制戦
happen at
争、
roughly
戦
the same
闘。
time.
The trick's so
Here,
good, you
you
don't
can
even know if they
also-
got it.
Yeah, exactly.
まあしないですか。
Here
なる
you
ほど
can
ね。
also
さ
do
す
a
が
version of that, but it doesn't quite save time on
アルティ
Japanese.
といったところ。
It also gives you an invisible area, which is pretty cool, but I avoided for this time, because don't worry, we're gonna have invisible
で
characters.
これで、両対になってる謎解きをしたの
What,
で、
you know, what's interesting is that every now and then
中央
Pandora
のところ
or
に行けるよう
Elia
になる
will
と思うんです
move
よね
a。bit more slowly. So this game, in addition
で
to
吹き矢を手に入れて
health,
落ちま
magic,
す。
and sanity, also has a fourth property
これは
called
強
stamina.
制で
There's no
す。
bar for it,
はい
but you'll notice that if you run long enough, your character goes into this exhausted animation. Obviously, we want to be able to run for as much as we can, so we will move faster. But we also need to recover stamina to do that properly.
敵がいるんですが、無視して進みましょう。
Type of movement, you actually gain double the amount of stamina you do just by walking around normally. And the game never tells you that. The only reason people know about this is because
で今ちょっと画面が斜めになってるのが分かりますかね。これ実はサニティの値が減ってしまって徐々にこういうのが出てきます。はい。
And Pandora has routed her stamina usage very specifically, so basically she's memorized every single place that she needs to sneak.
で今ちょっと面白いシーンがありましたね。今なんか敵同士がなんか戦ってたんですが、それがね、属性が違うからっていう。
It's Mantarok. Can any of you tell me what is this thing?
Oh, we love Mantarok. He is the fourth ancient, basically. He's the, I think they call him the
で
dead god. Basically,
ね、
Pius Augustus
中央に何か
artifact he got turned into
いたんですが、これはかなり重要な、
2000 years trying to
じゃあ登場人物でいいんですかね。
artifact you chose that corresponds to.
古い神々みたいな
Mantarok
感
is
じ
trying
の
to。interfere basically, and he's going to be trying to pull strings behind the scenes to affect fate and influence these characters in a way that benefits him. But none of this is really apparent in the speedrun, obviously. Play the game, check it out, it's very fun. He's imprisoned currently due to the actions of Pius, so Mantarok's just stuck there.
Yeah, I always thought about Mantarok as of a more
マントロクっていう死神ですね。
or like
はい。
completely neutral, like agender
Oh, sure, yeah.
ancient
Yeah, I
compared
can
to
see
the
that,
other
yeah.
ones. All right, we have time for one donation here.
Absolutely. We've got a lot of donations coming in about this. I'm going to try this one. We've got Elflave with $10. They say, just my luck. I have to work during AGDQ. Luckily, I got home just in time to see one of my all-time favorite games, Eternal Darkness, and my first donation of the week. Oh, and one more thing. May the rats eat your eyes, Cancer! The donations are coming!
だいぶ傾いてきましたね。
Oh, thank you for reading it like that. Oh my god.
Yes. Happy to hear the first mention of the rats already.
Yeah, we're gonna see a bunch of that. Worry not. So next we're gonna hop into Anthony. So we're gonna just finish.
このマント録は、今瀕死の状態でして、ここで、ね、さっきの、実はさっきのパイアスが、秘宝3つあった秘宝を取ってしまったので、その秘宝に対応してる神の配下になってしまいました。なので、とりあえず、パイアスがずっと、古の神々を復活させるためにいろいろやってるので、それを止めに行けという感じですかね。話としては。
It's really well done how it uses that flow of learning something and then moving into using it immediately.
And here it is, Anthony.
で、そして、
Anthony
次がアンソニーか。
He needs to deliver a message to
今度はフランスですね。
the actual Charlemagne.
はい。
Because this game is
司祭から王の手紙を扱っ
everybody knows, you know, the war is governed by ancient gods, you know, like Eldritch gods.
で、見るなよって言われたのにもかかわらず見てしまったと。はい。
Anthony, he's been
絶対見るなよっていうふうに言われて見てしまいます。
But Anthony sees it anyways, and he actually gets a curse. And so then his mission is to advert, to warn Charlemagne.
なんとその手紙にはですね、腐敗の魔法が封じ込められており、それを開けてしまったので、アンソニーは魔物にも襲われ、自分の体は徐々にゾンビ化するというためになります。このアンソニーはですね、非常に戦闘力も高くて、移動速度も速いキャラクターではあるんですが、物語が進めば進むほど体が腐食化してゾンビ化してしまうので、物語の終盤になるとかなり、使いづらいキャラクターになります。
I'm very loud too.
Yes. I've never been able to figure out if you're just walking on the images of screaming faces or actually feel screaming faces when you walk.
なんかここに謎の隠し扉があります。謎でもないですね。よくこの手のゲームによくあるやつ。はい、で、ゾンビがですね、なんか体の中に何か入ってるぞと。これがですね、スペルというものでして、このスペルを集めて、適正に組み合わせることで、様々なエンチャントを使っていくと。ちょっと顔色悪くなってるのがわかりますかね。今ちょっとムービーに入るタイミングで、だいぶ顔色が悪くなってきました。
What is all about runes and magic on this game?
Yeah, this game has a pretty cool magic system.
壊れた壺を回収しま
It kind of
す。
has a noun, a verb, and an alignment that you can bind for every spell. Right now, Anthony just picked up.
ここでロングソードも手に。このロングソードがなかなか強い武器です。
So he can cast weak spells, and then later on, we're going to pick up the 5 and 7 point.
で、この壺をですね、集めていくんですが、壺割れちゃってますよ。なので、
basically,
壺
you have to
を、
collect the runes and combine them in a certain way, and you get different spells out of it. You usually would
壊れた
collect
も
in the
の
casual
を
playthrough
元に戻すっていうエンチャントを
scrolls
ですね、
and one of those codices that you find on the
これ
ground.
から
Codices?
敵を倒して集めていきます。
Yeah, codices.
A codex. You pick up a codex. It tells you what the rune does. We're going to skip all of that. And you
こ
can
んな感じ
actually
で
mix
進めば進むほどアンソニーは
together
苦しんでいき
spells
ます。
before you even get the scrolls.
Now we're about to see the first
この
skip.
タイムスがかなり強いですね。
What we call the urn skip. Normally you have to reassemble 2 or 3 urns, fill them with water, and put them on a stone in this room. Here, Pandora is going to get by the zombie, which is actually the hardest part. She takes the hit, and by doing the mix, keeps the animation, which lets her cast a spell at this room before the cutscene kicks in. And because the
これでスペルができて、このまあスペルっていうのはですね、ショートカットにもできますので、ショートカットにも使えるので。あ、今エンチャントしましたね。
She doesn't need to kill him right there, but
we
it's pretty
still
funny.
have to fight it. Yeah. We're very fortunate that the door actually has no collision. Like, the collision moves during the cutscene. And then this is the real bishop. So we're gonna fight it very fast here.
で、ここに来ると、実はこの
We're not able to cut the arm because this is partially censored on Japanese.
せやどうたらこうたらっていうボス戦闘が始まるんですが、エンチャントしたロングソードはめちゃくちゃ強いので、それで倒してきます。だいぶ大変なことになってますね、アンソニー。
When you pick up items in this game, you do it in 3 stages. One is the zoom that we discussed earlier. Second is an examine that brings up a text box. And the third is when you actually get the item. And what Pandora does here, she is going to do a trick that basically allows her to stay in that final state where she's about to get the item. And she's going to have to get this all the way to the end of Anthony's chapter. And if she does this successfully, then we'll be able to save this and use it later during the actual skip.
Oh, that was so fast.
Yeah, that was actually really good. I usually have more time to explain.
これ新しい敵のホラーという敵です。これに触れてしまうと異世界にワープされてしまいます。で、その異世界にいる敵を倒すっていうイベントが始まるんですが、まあ単純にね、タイムロスですね。もうすごい嫌がる。本当に嫌がらせの敵です、これは。
Right here, purposely going kind of slow. You see that long turn right there is because I need to avoid some B prompts, some messages that the game.
物語の後半になればなるほど視覚にいますからね。
I'm gonna lose an estate I have that I need for later.
とんでもないことになってますね。
Pandora's about to do another small skip. Normally, Anthony runs into this big monster called the Horror in this room. She's actually storing the B prompt from that bookshelf, using it to do an attack while in that state. And the attack moves her forward just enough to get to the other side of the trigger for that monster to drop in.
これで、この修道の奥の部屋かなの鍵を手に入れて、使って終わりですかね、ここは。はい、王様を助けに行こうと思ったんですが、もうすでに死んでましたという。
Otherwise, there's no run.
そうでした。
So don't move, don't do anything. Just save immediately on Alex. We're gonna use this save file later. We need it for later. Okay? Just put it on your brain, somewhere in your brain. Remember, it's there, waiting. Okay? We're gonna use it.
今度は2階に行く流れですかね。
Alright, I think we have time for one donation, yeah.
いや、家の2階に。で、2階の扉にもともとデフォルトで鍵を持ってるんですが、鍵を使うとなぜか壊れてしまうっていう強制イベントがあります。ですので、アンソニーまで進めておいて、物を直すエンチャントを覚える必要があります。
Right here, we also see some of that mini Metroidvania concept that the game operates on. Alex actually has that key much earlier than at this point in the game, but if you just go up to that door in the second floor and try to use it, it just breaks. But with the enchant spell that we got from Anthony, we can actually fix the key.
次はカーリムですね。はい。ブタやペルシャで剣術を得意とするペルシャの青年です。
It's a favorite of a lot of people. It's one of my favorites too because it has so much
遺跡に眠る
He's very strong. He has the strongest melee weapon.
思いを捨てる娘に遺跡にある宝物を取ってこいっていう風に言われまして、取りに行くという流れです。
Speed and stamina. So some characters like Kareem are really good for melee fighting. You can just kind of fight your way through the chapter, taking monsters down left and right. Others like Max or some characters that we might not
で、
even
この
be
ペルシャ
playing
の
as
こ
well.
の遺跡はですね、結構訪れることになりますね。
And you really want to avoid fights as much as possible.
Okay, so we're gonna see some enemies here. We already saw one of them on the previous chapter, but we didn't have that much time to talk about it.
ですね、このキャラクターの特徴としては、体力が全てのキャラクターの中で最も高いキャラクターという特徴があります。
So it's not very cool. We're just avoiding that for now. They send you to a different
お
dimension.
そらく
basically,
サニティは
and you
回
need
復
to-
しないでしょうね。
So we don't want that for speedrun. Okay, another safety save here. We're gonna prepare for horror skip, so if any of you can help me with that.
Yes, so as we saw in Anthony's chapter, actually getting one of these runes from an enemy, these translucent enemies, actually takes quite a long
こ
time.
こで、
because
これ
this long
結構
cutscene of them
強い敵なんですよ
before
ね。
giving you the rune. So what Pandora is going to
顔
do
が
is going
3
to
つある
exact a very precise
ホラー
amount
という
of
敵
damage
で、
before, and then she's gonna go to
この
the door
首、
and
頭を
get the
3
last
つとも
page
落とさない
there,
と
and if
倒
done
せないよ
correctly,
という敵
she'll
で
be
す
able
ね。
to do this while going to the other room, and here we get the rune just off screen. The only risk there is that it could soft lock the game. So you know, there's that. That's why we need a safety save.
Yeah, possible crash or
Crash,
soft
sorry.
log. No, it could be a soft log too,
Yeah,
depending on what effect you get. So
魔法の
yeah,
ル
it is
ーンを
scary.
手に入れ
It is
て、
consistent to don't get it if you have a very good early green.
3タックですね。3タックっていうのを覚えたんで、これで
So、I just went for it.
魔法のバリア
And now that is the rammed out.
解除することができ
Strongest
ま
melee weapon
す。
in the game.
Yep, upcoming as kind of a multi-wave fight that Pandora's gonna have to go through. There's gonna be a bunch of zombies, and
だから
normally
この
what
剣が
happens is,
この
to finish
なん
a
かでっかい
zombie
タルワールみたいな
you do a
でっ
finishing
かいの
blow,
手に入れたんですけど、
and, get rid of
大
the
ナタみたいな
corpse,
の
and
が。
that'll load the next wave in.
これがめちゃく
But
ちゃ
as
強い
it
です
happens,。You can actually just watch a cutscene to clear the corpses off the ground, and they'll just unload. Otherwise, you just have to wait for them to disappear or do the finishing mood. So the goal here is just to go through all the waves of zombies as quickly as possible and get out of the room.
The goal here is to see as many rats as you can.
Or as I like to say, may the cats need your thighs.
That too.
このちょっとなんか定期的にプレリュードを再生してるのがよくわかんないですね。何なんだろ
We're
う。
gonna be able to
敵の増援が
kill
来るのが
these
遅いか
guys
ら
in、one shot.
あれ入れるとすぐ現れるんですかね。ここ確かに倒し
I'm
終
doing
わ
a
った
little
とも、
recovery, and now I
すぐに
need
現
to
れな
know
かったんだよ
magic message. So
な。
no magic message is you spam magic, like spells, until you run out of magic, and then a message pops in. And if you can like hold that message into a cutscene, then you can use the
そ
message
し
to
て、
pause, and
ま
you
た
can
ですね、
pause to recover your
スケスケゾンビ、
So right there, I
ルーン
actually
を持ってる
moved
スケスケゾンビが
while
現
you were
れたの
looking.
で、
You have to believe me, I was
ルーン
moving
だけ
out
もら
of
っちゃい
camera
ま
and
しょう。
killing those enemies a little bit earlier.
That blows my mind every time I see this. Like doing all of this off camera. How do you do this, Pandora?
で、このようにですね、
That trick right there saves 0.5
サ
seconds.
ニティが消費してしまった場合は、敵を倒すと、
You gotta do it. You gotta go
回
for
復
this.
する時があります。
So right here,
は
there
い。
might be a trapper.
な
So
ん
you
で
need to
今ちょっ
sneak
と
a
回
little
復し
bit.
ましたね。
Trappers don't actually see you. They only hear you. So there's gonna be some spots where I'm gonna sneak or do other walking
で、
techniques.
魔法、今ですね、エンチャントしたナタ、これ実はですね、武器にもなるし、鍵にもなるという非常に有効なアイテムで、
And I did want to
ただ
mention
エンチャン
before
ト
this
が
comes
必
up,
要でした。というのも、
the thing about spells
属性
is
で
that you have to
属性
stand
の
still
鍵がかかってたので
to cast them.
その属性に合ってる
Otherwise,
エンチャントが
you
必要だっ
get-
たわけです
they fizzle and you have
ね。
to, you just lose magic and you can't do it. So right here, Pandora's going to do something called a free cast, which will allow her to move. She's going to do a free enchant into the barrier cutscene upcoming.
で、ここでエターナルダークネスの書を手に入れます。
And that'll allow her to move behind the barrier as it spawns. So normally you're supposed to wait for these waves of enemies to cross the barrier and then you fight them one by one. But what she's going to do is going to fight all these behind it as the barrier is up. And so the goal here is to clear the enemies in a very specific sequence.
いや、今のすごいですね。このエンチャントの効果が現れるの若干タイムラグがあるので、タイムラグがあるのと、敵の出現演出を重ねて、 敵にすぐエンチャントのかかってる武器で殴れるようにしましたね。いや、これはすごい。これはすごい技術。この後なんかプレイ度の再生はちょっとよくわかんないですね。これはちょっとよくわからないやつです。
Yeah, we got a little bit of lag. Not that much though, so that's good.
なるほど、ムービーを流して、なるほどね。
But this is not an easy fight. There's not a lot of space. It is really easy to get pinned by the zombies, pinned up against walls, take a lot of damage. It takes a lot of practice to be able to run this fight this cleanly in this little space.
He's also making use of animation cancels right here by unequipping the
ま
item.
ず、ここの現れる敵を全部倒すっていう流れですかね。
Attack animation so you can use the weapon faster.
このラムダオがとにかく強いです。
Much later in the run to really dramatic
で、
effect.
これあれか。密かに、ちょっとラムダオ強いんですけど、フルモーションが遅いので、装備外してもう一回付け直して、めちゃくちゃ高速でブンブン振ってますね。
Yeah, and right there at the end, I used the no magic message again, so I
ここで秘宝を手に入れました。
right before the last cutscene starts, and then I can use that message to move during the cutscene. Then I cancel it with a trigger, and I can walk into the.
で、さっきのショーの流れとしては、実はすでに、さっきの主人公が思いを捨てる女はすでに殺されていて、
Absolutely. We've got $25 from Tumes that says, shout out to the marble tiles with the screaming faces inside.
実はこの秘宝に導かれて、カリムは秘宝を守る番人みたいなのになります。なのでまた出てきます。
Just me and Nono.
ここのキッチンのところに、また、この、ね、瓶の中にエターナルダークネスの書っていう。あ、そうですね。このエターナルダークネスの、エターナルダークネスっていうでっかい本があるんですが、なんか断片的に抜けてて、そこにこれまでのなんか、この事件に関わった人たちの行く末みたいなのが書いてあるんですよ。で、それを読んで、なんかそれを追体験していくみたいな感じです。今回の、マーク・シミリアンは、通称マックスは、主人公たちの祖先ですね。二丁拳銃を使う、お医者さんです。
This voice actor is actually the same guy who played Jack Porkins in Star Wars, if you want to go look that up and don't know who that is.
でこの屋敷にどんどんホラーたちやモンスターたちが現れます。
Yeah, we actually didn't have time to touch on this, but there are a lot of great voice actors in this game. A lot of overlap with Metal Gear Solid. For example,
またこのホラーの体の中にね、また埋め込まれてましたね。はい、スペルが埋め込まれてるので、それを回収していきます。お、危ないですね。今はなんか異世界に連れてかれそうになりましたが、なんとか。
If you hit from behind, but more importantly for that horror is for some reason the horror's
ドアの
left arm is the weakest part of its
ドアを
body.
またいで
Not
回避し
both
ました。
not the arms in general, just specifically the left arm, which is significantly weaker than the right arm. Two shots
Yeah.
from the
でこの
flintlock
封
is
筒を
all
取る
it
と
takes
パリーンと
to
切り
kill
ます
that。horror.
No love for us lefties. Oh.
And now we're going to see another use of free cast. Let's give a quick explanation of what that is. So, as was mentioned, normally when you cast a spell, you have to stand still and wait for the runes of the spell to appear before you can move, and moving causes it to fizzle. That's a lot of time spent just standing still, especially later.
なんか画面の色がおかしくなってるのは、お使いのモニターにの問題ではなくて、サニティが減ってるからか違うか。今回復したか。
Track of the previous spell for tracking if you're moving, so you can just start walking away and the spell still casts. You could actually even stack those together to cast multiple spells at once. This is done a little bit later, but that's something you have to be very careful. If there are enough spell or spell-like effects happening in the game at once, it will crash, and it crashes hard.
Here, Pandora is setting up some shortcuts for spells. We mentioned earlier that you can kind of freely mix the runes to discover them ahead of time.
これで
without needing the
そうです
scroll
ね。
items. So,
これあれ
renewing
か。
is one of the really important parts about this game. A lot of
封印隠されてるところをが見えるようになるみたいなのがあって、エンチャントがあって、それの色属性だからという。なるほど。
Here's another quick death skip that Pandora is doing. She's going to go down the well, immediately target and shoot a zombie and come back.
で、なんとですね、こっからまあすごい急展開なんですが、なんとこの地下にですね、巨大な、巨大なですね、縁画遺跡というですね、いにしえの神々が封印されているという遺跡がなんとあるというのをマックスが発見しました。すごいこう規模感ですね。ここは何でしょう、ダークソウルのアノールロンドみたいな規模感の遺跡が地下にあります。
Yeah, you know, just going to your basement and finding this everyday stuff.
Yeah.
で、ガーディアン戦になります。
There's a reason Pandora's using the flintlock pistols in this chapter.
ボスの属性に反する武器をエンチャントして戦う流れだとは思うんですけど、どうでしょう。
You can take down this guardian much faster than if you try to use any.
普通に銃でぶっ放していく感じですかね。
Yeah, that was a good fight. That teleport is why this fight is RNG dependent.
エンチャントなんかしない
How
よ。
long and where the Guardian teleports to is very random, but that was really good.
That was probably close to a gold max.
Wow. Did you restore his sanity at the end? That's so nice of you.
Yeah, so that's to avoid a sanity effect here. We have ways to
という
avoid
遺
it.
跡を発見して終わ
The
り。
sequel sanity effect that you get with Kareem. After every Kareem, it can
で
get
この後
activated.
のマックス、さっきのマックスのことの顛末としてはですね、あの遺跡を見てからなんか疑心暗鬼になってしまったマックスはついに使用人を殺してしまって、精神病に入ってしまうという流れ。
And leaves it there just long enough for you to get confused before that goes away as a sanity effect. If you have enough sanity, or if you cast a spell and cancel it really quick or upon coming back, you don't see that pop up.
で、リボルバーと
Alright, we're
の6章ですね。闇の道か。
arguably the
闇への
hardest
道。
chapter.
こっから一気にですね、年代が近くになります。
Casual wise, because of all the
そうなんですよね。その使用人の中に化けてるのがあるんですよね。モンスターが。なので、そういう疑心暗鬼になっちゃったんですよね。で、急に年代が近くなりまして、急に1983年です。
We're starting this chapter off with an attempt at a skip. Basically, Pandora's going to set up a barrier after she gets hit by this gatekeeper. It summons a zombie. The zombie's going to latch onto her. She's going to shake the zombie off. It's going to bounce into the barrier and push her.
ここはですね、第2章でもあったカンボジアの遺跡ですね。
Because there's a bunch of layers to this wall, and if this fails, kind of sucks. But we'll get another attempt in a couple of minutes after that. So, if you want to see a zombie skip, basically you're going to see one coming up anyway.
エターナルダークネスの書を入手します。
It's gonna summon a zombie for me.
飛んでるやつは結構強いんですよね。
Its job. That zombie looks
頭を狙って
at a decent position. I've seen
倒しましたね。
So we're gonna move it.
このゲームはとどめを刺すっていうのをね、ちゃんとやらないとまた蘇ってきちゃうんですよ。
Do a barrier right here. Free cast it so I can move, go to this corner, put myself in a very specific position, and hopefully clip into this wall. Let's see. Oh, I actually clip through one of the layers.
That's a shame.
But I need like 3 layers.
That movement was so weird.
But that was like super close actually. I think it was a very good angle actually. Oh, that's one trap.
Ooh, okay.
That's one trapper.
That was scary.
Yeah, that first zombie clip is really tough. The positioning and the timing is very difficult. It's not a very consistent trick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely on the high
これで
tier
失敗か。
of like difficulty of glitches of this game. One of the hardest tricks in the game.
じゃあ普通に行く感じですかね。
Like basically
で、
something
この
we're
キャラクター
gonna
は
do here,
発
we're gonna
掘
move
家なの
in the
で、
cutscene where I normally put
随所にある
the
なん
necklace.
でしょう。
So for that, we're gonna set
雲の
up
巣かなんかの
a reveal here.
オブジェクトがあるんです
Mix
けど、
it
それ
with
に
an
対して、
enchant.
ブラシを
I'm
使
gonna
うの
move here.
か
I'm
な。
gonna
使う
press
とアイテムを
B.
手に入れたりできる。
Then match start. Use this thing and do a no magic message during this cutscene. Then recover my camera going through a trigger, and we can move during that cutscene. You're not allowed to usually move during that cutscene. And if you take too much, you're actually
でも
gonna see the
で、
next
まあ、
part
序
of the
盤の
cutscene
目
on a
標
different
と
room.
しては、そうですね、なんか中央のなんか女神の像に、なんかアクセサリーをつけてあげるってやつですね。
So she just starts
で
moving、once they start.
腕は2つ手に入れて、首飾りも手に入れたから、次は銀の腕を手に入れて終わりという感じかな。
You people explain that.
Oh yeah. Well, here's another zombie clip. Here we go.
Take two.
See if it works.
This one's a lot easier, a lot more consistent. Let's see if it
あ、
happens.
なんだかまた壁抜けやりそうかな、これは。
There is a really
Oh!
specific platform that you're supposed to aim
Oh,
for.
すごい。
Back there, otherwise you just
やーべえ、このカットはやばい。これ、めっちゃ飛んだぞ、これ。うわ、マジかよ。これはすご
To
い。
get back up.
決めましたね。
Alright, so
え、
we're
こ
starting off with
れ
a very cool
もう3分、このショーの3分の1ぐら
thing
い
you need to know to understand is
飛びまし
whenever there's
一気に飛びました
where
ね。
it seems like the character isn't there, the character is always loaded. It's just off screen or is made invisible. But it's there, and if you manage to get yourself into a position where you
いや、
can move in the
これ
cutscene, you
結
can actually
構、めんどくさい、結構めんどくさいって言っちゃあれですけど、長めのショーですからね。うわ、すげえ。
to get a text prompt, and
一気に行きました
this is
ね。
going to allow her to move in the scene coming up right here. And if done correctly, you can actually get to the other side of that floor through the cutscene.
結構
The side effect
結構
of
行
that
ったり
is
来たり
that
するんですよ
because
ね、
the
ここね。
character was
で、
invisible during the cutscene, it's also invisible during this. So we're just a floating sword for a while.
Yeah, this time we're gonna be a floating gun. Because
floating gun this time. Nice.
Yeah, that's
り来たりしますし、
just a little
マップが広いですから
Basically,
ね。
when you don't get bronze keep, the
ここで
the
透
gun
明
is
化
gonna be
に、透
closer.
明化
So
して
we're
る
gonna
今
be。a flying handgun right here.
You'd think we were playing Control instead.
And then we're gonna go here, and sadly, this cutscene right here makes Lindsay visible again.
Aw.
で、この首飾り、なんか酸かなんかで溶かすのかな。そうすると、
Alright,
まあ、
so now we're gonna
そうする
clean the
と
last puzzle, which is the
表
gold
面の
one.
汚れがだけ溶けてちょうど金になるって
After
い
that, we're
う。
gonna get a sanity effect of Edward talking to Alex.
便利です
And
ね。
that sanity effect, I like it because it's gonna give me a free minute of no sanity effects. But then, after that's concluded, I actually need to start manipulating them.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
actually is a
so-
lot of sanity effect manipulation during this run. Sanity effects typically have a cooldown after each one. So if you get a sanity effect and it's a good one and it doesn't take
で、
very much
終わり
time,
か。
that's pretty good.
いや、早かっ
Then you don't
た
have。to worry about sanity effects for a
お、
while.
違う
Some
か、
of
幻
them
覚が入る。
waste
あ
a lot、of
ここで
time.
演出が入るのか。
It's a
はいはいはい、なるほど
hallucination.
ね。
There might be a bunch of ammo
さっ
on the
き
ground that's fake,
主人公のアレックスに話しかけてきたのが、
reload,
アレックスの
Um,
おじいさん
one
の人ですね。
manipulation that we do is
冒頭のシーンはカットされてたんですが、
that happens when you're at
ちょっとかなりショッキングなシーンで、
nothing happens.
冒頭のムービーを見ればわかるんですが、首を
for 2 minutes,
切断されて
1
ま
minute
す
of。cooldown afterwards. So negates sanity effects for 3 minutes. There's also explosion. This is guaranteed if you try to do a recovery under 50% sanity, which gives you about 10 seconds of no other sanity effects. So does anybody want to explain that
で、
one?
まあ、この辺はちょっと、2章で見たところですね。の地下の
A sanity effect
遺
that
跡ですね
will。
で、
happen,
この
can
まま、
happen only once per,
進む感じですかね。
and it starts, the flag for it gets set somewhere around this
だいぶ
chapter.
なんかちょっと、あれ、ここ見たでしょ。
And it happens when
こ
you
こなん
try
か
to
前
do
あ
a
ったよねっていう。
recovery. So we actually use
この
this
マン
to
ト
our
録です
benefit
ね。
because it means that if we
マ
do
ント録
recovery
の
and
ところに
cancel
行
it,
く流
we
れか
don't
な。
get the explosion, but we do get the cooldown. So every now and then you'll see the magic stat go down, and that just means that Pandora, while moving, is doing a recovery to get the explosion.
次
to
に
get
ルー
the
ムを手に入
cooldown.
れますよと。
And that's going to be used for a very long time until we have to use that explosion for something coming up.
Nice. So that's a spelling cutscene. So there's some cutscenes where you can actually cast a spell right as you just enter the cutscene, because like with the momentum of the character. That one is in
この入力のスピードが速いですね。結構これ、メニュー画面が忙しいゲームなんで、そこが速さにつながると思うんですけども、さすがの速さですね。ポンポンって入れましたね。
And right here, you can see this floating thing on
で、
top
序
of
盤に来たマントロクですね。この方はですね、この奥地の遺跡で徐々に弱って死にかけているという設定
Depending on
で
the
す。
alignment you choose, will regenerate whichever statistic you select. Red gives you health, blue gives you magic, and so on. This is an extremely powerful spell. It actually only tells you about it much later in the run, but you have the runes to create it in Lindsay's chapter. Keeping pools up is a good way to keep your health up, keep your magic up, and through very frequent use of those, you can make the game much easier if you so desire.
あそこマントロクの奥には、チャプター2章のエリアちゃんがなんかゾンビ化してて、実はですね、エリアはそのマントロクの秘宝というのを体に植え付けられて、死んだはずなんですが死ねない体になっていたというところを、そのマントロクの秘宝を、託して、エドウィンに託して死ぬという、亡くなるという流れです。
That's still my favorite sanity effect. But she's doing a free cast a spell, comes around, sees the ghost of Max start to walk in this room. The dispel takes over, makes that barrier go away, and lets Alex move. And since ghosts look translucent, but they're still solid, they have to make the collision have to go away for that door for Max's ghost to walk in. And so as you're moving as Alex, you just walk on in, trigger the cutscene, and now you've done what you get after completing Edward's chapter.
Oh.
What was that?
It's just Max chilling,
Wait, are you
doing his stuff.
Are your saves okay? Did they get deleted? You need that for Anthony.
Yeah,
あんな仕様あったんです
they
ね、
did
この
one
ゲーム。
right after, I think.
Oh, I hope.
Actually, we're gonna do one on.
7章
I
の
don't know
異
what
端
I'm
者
gonna
と
do
いう。
about the one on Anthony though, because I lost all of
今
them.
度は、主人公ポール、
Do you have like a memory card or something?
1485年フランス
I
で
got
す。
memory card down here.
Oh, nice.
So if I'm probably gonna plug that on one
で、
of
ハイドに入っ
Paul's
て、
cutscenes.
Okay, solid.
Because we're
また
gonna
まっ
have
す
a
ぐ
lot of
進むとイ
backtracking
ベン
during
ト
this chapter, so
何者か
there's
に
some
殺されて
places,
ます
on
ね。
this game you actually run with L.
で、エメラルドを
The stick, so
絵に入っ
there's
て
some
る
spots where you just run,
エメラルド
you
を
can actually
回
play
収
with
しま
one
す。
hand. So probably on one of those places.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
just
で、
gonna go
さっきの
down
殺しの疑いをかけられるのかな
Yeah.
Okay.
をかけられるんですが、まあ、とりあえず、疑いは晴れて、
He is basically trying to find something called the Hand of Jude. It's like a
解放されま
magical
すね。
artifact that he heard about. He went on this pilgrimage to this place, and he's trying to find it, but
で、2階に向かい
he
ま
finds that
す。
something is amiss. Seems to be a running theme. And this guy that we're
こ
about
こはあれ
to
です
see,
ね、
he's a custodian for the area, and he starts telling him some
序
stuff.
盤ぐらいに
Basically
ね
have to
体が徐々にゾンビになっていく彼がいたんですけども、と同じような舞台で、まあ、年代が進んでそこが大聖堂になりましたよという感じ。
Yeah, and things are definitely not gonna be normal in this room right here.
そうですね、
This is the first part.
エターナルダークネスの章がないとエンチャントが使えないんでね、しょうがないですね、これは。
This cutscene, then we're gonna pause, use a meditation rod to recover movement during the second part of the cutscene. And then need to pay attention to this movement right here. I think that's just perfect, so we'll see. If it's just perfect, then I can go just like, may the rats eat your eyes. I am now
で
lost.
鐘を鳴らして管理人を呼びつけると。
It will damn
で、
us
鍵をもらい
all.
ました。
All right, it worked.
Excellent timing.
Nicely done.
That is a strat, by the way. I didn't do that for the memes. No, that is an actual strat. I used that speech to align my movement because I'm moving out of camera and it's very tricky movement. So that phrase just happens to be perfect to time out your movement where you have to change directions.
エンチャントをしつつ、
Any
奥
excuse to
に
hear
進んで
may
いく
the
感じ
rats
ですか
eat your
ね。
eyes is a good one.
Yeah, and talking about that, we have time for one donation right here.
Sure, I have one. I have a $25 donation from Pius Augustus. It says a donation of minus $800,000 from Pius Augustus with a comment that
ボーガンで
reads,
すね。
Mantarok, Pargon, Pargon, Naroka,
演台の鍵とボーガンを手に入れました。
which brings us to a grand total of no, this can't be happening. Thank you very much,
Yeah,
Pius
これ
Augustus.
で地下に行くの。
Because that
地下に
spell
行くのは
actually
あれです
doesn't
ね。
exist. So that's not happening. That definitely was a sanity
That's
effect.
definitely not happening.
Yeah, you don't absorb items on this game, let me tell you. Yeah, it's just me, you know, as a speedrunner, you have to memorize every single rune. You have no choice. So
You do? I just look at the world record video and do the same thing.
パンドラ
But
さん
no,
は
no,
もう
that's
ずっ
not
と
how
ね、
you do it.
このゲームやられてますからね、本当に。
Alright,
多分、
so we're gonna
確か全部のカテゴリーでワードレコードで、
We need to collect 3 of
バグ
those.
技を見つけるし、ルートも作るし、みたい
Pass
な
it to。the custodian to incriminate a guy that is very similar to Pius
もうプロです
and
から
has
ね
a。very similar name too.
Suspicious.
Suspicious.
Nah, there's no way that Pius Augustus and Paul Augustine are the same person.
No, yeah, he
Yeah,
was from
that
like
doesn't
30
make
BC.
sense to
That's
me.
crazy. That's such a long time.
Yeah.
で、ここで、
All right,
敵
Pandora's
敵がね、
the crossbow reload
体の中に
damage
入
at
って
the door to
く、入って
cancel
きて、
spell, carry over the animation state,
あ
and
の、
basically the cutscene
擬態
is
するっ
triggered,
ちゅう
and
嫌な
this
イ
here
ベ
is
ント。
Anthony, who we saw before. He is supposed to fight us, but he never really gets up.
Yeah, instead
Anthony-
he's just having a bad time.
Anthony has had a really bad life.
And death.
Yep. An interesting note here
で、
is
こ
that
こ、
Anthony
これがあれですね
Kirby、
序盤のショーでいた
If you don't get
騎士です
that sword
ね
from。the monk in his chapter, at this point Anthony doesn't have the sword. Paul can't get it. And Anthony has to fight back against Paul. Well, zombie
その
Anthony has
騎
to
士
fight
から
back with his
僕は
fists.
まだなんか死ねない状態になったので、とどめを
So
刺したわけです。
that little walk that you saw me doing
ロング
right
ソード
there
で
is
すね。
because there is a soft lock, a possible soft lock.
でこのロングソードが、まあ、とにかく強いです
Basically, we skip a trigger for a cutscene at the beginning of the Anthony fight, but that means the trigger is still there, waiting to be activated. The trigger is very close to the door, but actually the door prompt is a little bit bigger than the trigger for the cutscene. So if you manage to just be just inside that without triggering the cutscene, you can leave. But if you happen to open the door and trigger the cutscene at the same time, it's a soft lock, so can be scary.
Another thing we're skipping here.
メイスがちょっと弱いんでね、しょうがないですね。
You play the organ. You basically use that to unlock the 5-point circle, which gives you 5-point spells. So we're skipping that entire section, and we're not going to have 5-point spells, which is kind of bad because there's going to be a 5-point barrier coming up. Usually, you
なんか
use a
樽
to get rid of it. So
樽を開け
to
る
get
と、
around
と
that,
なんか
they,
隠し扉が開く。
strat is going to be to basically there's going to be a skip coming up, and we'll explain it as it comes up.
ここにホラーがいるので、
Try to kill this horror at the same frame that she
頭
finishes
を
the
ね。
puzzle. It's frame perfect.
おー、うまいですね。これなかなかね、
Yeah, this time I didn't
そうですね、
even
ロ
go
ン
for
グ
it
ソードじゃない
because
と、
it
ちょ
was
っと
very
リーチが
bad.
届かないんですよね。
Animation
し、
cancel
ス
right
パッとこう落とせないから。
So yeah, sometimes you just it's better to just go for it.
これが
But
ロン
it's
グ
a
ソードの
very
強みです
tight
ね。
trick. It saves like 6 seconds, but again, frame perfect and also very
ルビー、サファイア、エメラルドをはめ込むと、さらに奥に進めるようになります。
The sword
なんか
is
どっかで
very
聞いた
tricky,
宝
so
石です
just
ね。
avoid it this time. Right now we're looking for bleeding walls because I want to get bleeding walls. I want my walls to paint themselves. Okay, so if you see any bleeding walls, chat, you just gotta tell me.
Wouldn't
Okay.
that be great if you had paint? just paint themselves walls.
ホラーが2体いるんですが、属性が違うので喧嘩してます。
You do?
Nice. That means you have your sanity between 50 and 75%.
That's true.
Should be a little bit worried
That feels
about
like
that.
way too much ever since I started speedrunning.
There's the bleeding walls.
Oh, nice.
I saw it. Nice. So that gives you about 3 minutes without sanity effects. There it is. There's another one. So there's basically 3 minutes with a sanity
日記の
effect.
切れ
with the
端
bleeding walls, and that prevents
を手に入れ
other sanity
て、
effects
こ
from
れで、
happening.
ね、
So we don't have to worry about
日記
any
の
of
切れ
this
端全部
back
集めた
then.
ので、管理人のいる
This
塔に
game
一旦戻り
was
ま
almost
す。
glitchless. We actually didn't have any of these strategies to avoid sanity effects, and there was a lot, and I say a lot of RNG on the run because of that. All right, we have time for another donation here.
Yeah, you got it. We've got $125 from Tetragonos. They say Yang phase, please. Super excited to see this run, and I want to see us
そう
close
だ
the
な、
gap
赤の敵が攻撃力高くて、緑の敵が
for the donation. That is in reference to our
サニ
next
ティ
run
削っ
alone.
て、青がなんだっ
A
け
battle
な、
which is
青
gonna
がなん
end
か
right at the
エ
end
ン
of
チャ
this
ントを
run
して
for
く
the
ると
Yin
か、
phase
エンチ
versus
ャン
Yang
ト付与
phase.
と
There's
かなん
about
か
a
そういう風
$400
な
difference. And I have
色
word
分け
from
に
the
確
runner
かな
that
っ
the
ていたは
Yang
ず。
phase is the one to have, but that's the one that's behind. So chat, help out the runner. Let's get the better one. Let's get the donations.
赤が
after
爆
that.
発するのか。
Okay, so now we're setting for this pool right here.
もうちょ
So
っ
just
と
like
サニティがないん
we said
で、
before,
だいぶ
with pool,
傾い
we
てます
can run
ね。
forever, which is very handy. I don't need to care about stamina. For now, we have some time to actually talk about differences. So, Japanese, why do we run on Japanese? Compared to what you would think on many other games, we don't run on Japanese because of the text. Text is almost tied, pretty much, on this game, on Japanese and US versions. Instead, we run because Japanese came out
管理
late.
人に話を聞きま
And
す
it。has faster loading times. Developers had some extra time to optimize a lot of the stuff on memory. And thanks to that, it's just your loading times are much faster. It's great. And the other thing we should talk about is the difference. Why is this 80% cutscene storage? Can any of you tell me about that?
これでこのナイフを管理人に似た像にぶっ刺します。
There's a trick in this game called cutscene storage where by watching a cutscene and doing a frame perfect input, you can actually get yourself to the end of the chapter and
そうですね。まあ日本語版が早いんですけど、おそらくあれだと思います。
unrestricted 80% run of this game
カッ
is
トシーンストレージ使うのは英語版じゃなきゃいけないのかな。
watching cutscenes and doing frame perfect inputs. So obviously, to have a more interesting run, we need to rule that trick out. But that does exist, and it's a separate category in this game.
All right, now you guys can talk about the skip you were mentioning before.
Yep.
With the 5 circle
で
thing.
レギュレーション関係なくは最速だったら英語版じゃないですかね。
So there's no way to really dispel this barrier that's coming up. But there's a funny interaction where if you are summoning a trapper, you don't have collision, so you can set up a magic message to bypass the damage field. There's actually
そうする
two
と
of
先に
these kind
進
of
め
skips
ま
that
す。
you
隠
have
し
to
扉 あ
do
る
in。this room, one to get in, one to get out.
で、これ
The
ディ
first
ス
one's
ペル
pretty
マジ
hard,
ッ
actually,
ク
because Paul enters
レベル
stance
5
he
か
enters
な。
the room, which kind of messes up the timing. The one out,
このですね、魔法にもレベルシステムがありまして、
cool too.
例えば
Nice.
Yeah, there you go.
レベル3の呪文のブロックを
You run for so little right there.
レベル
And
5
you
の
can
やつ
actually
を
get
3で
inside
解除
of
で
the
きない
barrier,
みたいな
and
のがあ
then
ります
there's almost no way to get out. Now we're gonna go for second part. We kill one bone thief.
ここでなん
And
と
then we
奥
set up
地
for the
に
next trapper. Send a no magic message to be able to move during this trapper. I'm gonna run here.
管理人の死体がある。あれさっき言った管理人はみたいな。
Out of camera. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we should be close to the door. There you go.
Nice.
あれ今のもなんかバグ技っぽいな。何をなんか一気に
So
ワープ
that
しました
second
ね。
part is actually, even though it looks like, crazier, like it looks flashier, let's say,
でこっ
it's
から
actually
道なり
way
です
easier
ね
than the first part because you just run forever. Like I said, we don't change our state or battle state.
まあ、とにかくですね、この
Yeah, yeah.
このキャラクターは、ポールはマジで悲惨な最後を遂げます。こう大聖堂にいるグレートガーディアンというでっかいモンスターに最後踏みつけられて殺されて終わりです。マジで悲惨な最後。ポールのこの運命は決まってるんで、どのアライメントを選んだとしても変わらないです。
That's the chapter we want to skip. So we set up the first part of this during Anthony, and now comes the second part. Basically, what we're going to do here is we are going to pick up this
ピアノの部屋で、お、はいや
and that causes the game to set a restore point for a cutscene.
ピアノを演奏するとアイテムが手に入ります。
To the tome room, and we're also going to use the get item state that we saved from Anthony to get an item from that room. And by properly manipulating the memory heap of the game, we make it so that the item that we get is the chapter page for the next chapter for Peter. And that way we completely skip over having to do
今幻覚ですかね。
Also, first try.
Yeah, that was so fast.
Oh, wow.
Very, very good.
You saw that Alexandra exploded right there. So going forward, we won't have the option to store the explosion flag. So we'll have to manipulate sanity effects a little bit differently.
今のは幻覚っすね。
Ooh, Trapper.
あえてなんか上半身がなくなったりとかっていう幻覚は
Okay, we're gonna like
サニティが少なくなると。
relax a little bit. That might actually be. Okay, I'm gonna say preventively. Oh, I can't. I actually need to heal it. Never mind. There you go.
I like your friend just hanging around in the background there.
Yeah, literally. Okay, I'm gonna wait for change of.
あ、なんか首吊りも多分幻覚ですね。画面右になんか首吊りがあるんですけど、これ多分なくて、本来ないやつで、これも幻覚かな。
It's actually a very precise setup. Now we're gonna come back to this save file. So this save file is the one that you remind me. Thank you so much. So we save right after Anthony with a get item state, you know? So we're gonna watch a cutscene here to set up the restore point. This will make me warp to this room after I use the piano restore that Nono was talking about. And also I got a get item state that I can transfer to this new save file. So what
さっきからなんかセーブとロードめっちゃやってるんですけど、ちょっとわかんないですね。何かをしようとしてるんですけどね。あ、なんかムービーが始まったぞ。あれ、すべてを終わらせる戦いってちょっと待ってくれ。あれロベルト君飛ばされちゃった。え、これじゃ13人じゃないじゃん、これ。ロベルト
We skipped the other chapter later, just we talked about this before. We did that just by doing a free cast and skipping Roberto.
いないじゃん、一人。
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate we skip Roberto because there's some really fun tricks in there, such as the Roberto zombie hover that lets him walk over air and everything. But maybe if we can see that in the future.
今のカットストレージ、ですね、カットストレージという技を、なんか特定の場所でムービーを視聴しまくることで、エンディングに行くっていう、とんでもない技があるんですが、でもムービーを見てない、カットシーンの保存じゃない、これ今のセーブロードだから、どちらにしろそういう技もあるんですね。てっきりショーを飛ばすのってカットストレージ以外ないと思ってたんですが、なんとあるんです。
Okay, so
はい、そして、
trying to do some photography of the war and find
今
some
度は
stuff.
ピーターになります。9章。時代は第一次大戦の頃で、そうですね。同じマップが続いてるから分かりやすいですね。先ほどの修道士が踏みつけられてしまった聖堂ですね。が、第一次大戦ということで、野戦病院になっているという流れです。
I think I can still do it. Does that work?
でこれは召喚できるやつ
See
です
where my
ね。
magic
はい
is.。
この子召喚できるやつで
Does、that cancel?
なんかいらないやつを異世界にぶっ飛ばしたりして、
Okay, so
扉の前に今死体があって開けられなかったんですが、あの子を召喚してね、
I
ぶ
was
っ飛
just
ばして
gonna
もらっ
say
て、
how much of misnomer
開く
is
ようにな
still
りま
on
した
bone。thieves because they actually try to enter into your body and replace your bones. So they're not bone thieves. They're really thieving everything other than your bones.
Yeah, it's the
They're
opposite.
hugging your walls. Bone huggers.
So you may have noticed towards the beginning of the chapter, Pandora summoned a trapper, and she summoned another trapper right there to get rid of that body, so she could get the 7-point circle. And you can see her setting up some spells for shortcuts later.
そうですね、この
Basically,
野戦病院、
one
なぜ
tip
か
of the game is when you summon
怪我人たちがいなくなる
monster,
野戦
removes
病院
the
でし
other
て、なんと
monster
奥
from
にい
memory.
るグレート
So just
ガー
keep
ディ
that
ア
in
ンの
mind.
餌
A
に
lot
さ
of
れてた
this
という。
chapter basically is setting up for that boss, that one-shot Paul. So it's a big boss. It's a big deal. Normally, it takes several minutes of casual playthrough to fight it and kill it. So you probably might have noticed that she saved a little bit earlier, right before that trapper too. So keep that in mind, that there were 2 trappers that were summoned, and there was a save in between. That has to do with later. A lot of this, like I said, is preparation, and part of that preparation is we're going to collect a bunch of items that you wouldn't normally need to in casual playthrough. This happens to affect memory in a certain way with the IDs set up in memory. So
Yeah, right here, what I've been doing is something similar to what we did on the area. I'm merging
本来あの楽譜失われていてね、全部が映ってるわけじゃないんですが、RTS 奏者だからもう何やればいいかもう固定だから分かってるってことです。
And the one that finished first allows you to move. And that's why we got that wacky camera after that. So the rifle right here, we don't usually get it for speedrun, you know? Like, we don't really need a rifle. Or, I guess we need it for this one, you know? We're setting up for something. There's a secret going on here. I guess we need it.
このショーの特徴としてはやっぱり
So I guess I don't have enough. Right here, I'm gonna attack this zombie.
あれですかね。
Oh, wait. Before, I'm gonna get a little bit bigger.
グレートガーディアンっていうボス戦らしいボスがあるんで、なるほど、今の幻覚だったのか。なるほどね。なるほど。何してるんだろうと思ったらあれだったのか。本来敵がいないところだ、敵がいるのにいない部屋にいるから、あ、これ幻覚だって判断したみたいですね。
And then we're gonna see a rat.
That rat is such a troll. It's really easy
right
to think
now,
you've got a second trapper, but nope.
Yeah.
Those ones are fine.
Okay, so we have time for one donation before we get to the boss.
All right, sounds good. We've got $33.30 from the Camelon. They say, had to donate during one of my favorite games. Pandora's skills are blowing my mind, and commentary has been so insightful.
なんか見覚えのあるマップに来ましたね。
But hopefully I'll get to bed by 3:33. Thank you very much for that donation.
Nice. All right, so right now we're gonna do another save.
グレートガーディアンですね。3段階あります。通常攻撃は一切効かなくて、マジカルアタックっていうですね、エンチャントをする必要があります。ただそのエンチャントも受付時間がありまして、ガーディアンが光ってる時に当てないと攻撃判定がないということですね。
We're gonna get to this boss. Remember, this boss kill Paul or friend or beloved friend on one shot. Just insta kill, okay? Let's see what we can do about it.
7ポイントのマジカルアタックすれば一撃で2段階目まで進めるんですが、どうでしょうね。通常の攻略だとね、その7ポイントだと延焼時間長すぎるんで5とかにするんですけど。
Oops. Turns out casting that trapper caused the Black Guardian to die.
Yeah,
That's
it
all
was
it
just
takes.
a big trapper. That's what the Guardian is. It has 3 legs.
あれ何したの今。
True.
あれ
That still blows my mind every time I see it.
いや、このボスね、3段階あるはずなんだ
There
が。
was another skip. You could use the zombie clip to go back through the glass wall and pick up the artifact, and that's all it takes. But who needs to worry about even that when you can just cast away the Black Guardian?
All right, so
ゼロタースでバリアを張って落としたのかな。
And normally we'd be using explosion to manipulate sanity effects, but we already exploded. So Pandora's going to be doing some different manips. Normally you could do no magic message, but it so happens that we need magic for some stuff. So you can instead use a no creature message for the text box.
Yeah, and this is right here. So that's 1. You gotta match B right after
そう
the
ですね。
spell.
で、ピーター生き延びて、
Effects on the next room.
グレートガーディアンを倒した時
And there you
に
go,
手に
no
入
side
る
effects. So
秘
pretty
宝
good.
をですね、ちゃんと届けてくれました。
Now, normally,
I'm
what
getting-
you do here
The
after
shotgun.
after finishing Peter. Oh, go ahead. You're picking up these items.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say I just grabbed the strongest weapon in the game,
Yep.
but that's for later. Just
Yeah,
some
normally
spoilers.
after this point, you'd go in, you'd put the penny in the fuse box, go upstairs, and pick up the page for Edward. Well, the only thing Edward's chapter gives you is the pickaxe, which opens up the secret room
で、
and
ここに
lets
秘
you
宝
into
で
the
すね。
safe.
ゼロタースの
Well,
秘
we
宝と
already
ハンド
took care
ル。
of that, so we don't need
で、
to
そ
do
して
Edward's
またエ
chapter.
ターナルダークネスの書。
Yep, Pandora's also
I do
collecting
need to use the
some-
penny, though.
Oh yes, the penny, and we're collecting some extra items here actually. You wouldn't normally need all these items, but it so happens that because we're not going to use Roberto's chapter, it's just going to be an item sitting in Pandora's inventory. So
今、地味になんかヒューズが欠けてるから、そこにコインを突っ込んで、
and if that's on
電
the
力を
first
供給するっていう
before
感
you
じだったか
scroll
ら、
down,
とてもなんか危険な
it'll
技をして
crash
まし
the
た。
game. So she has to duplicate some ammo here. Normally they would stack into one pile, but due to that trick she just did, they'll be in separate piles, which will push the Roberto page further down in the inventory, which prevents the crash later on.
It's the same reason she still went
あれ
ahead and used the
ちょ
lucky
っと待って、
penny
砂
in the fuse
漠
box, because
あれ
that's also another item that will cause a crash if it's in your inventory.
Exactly.
実はこれ11章でして、
That's all.
実はこれ11章で、本当は10章ってのあるんですけどね。
Michael's chapter. Michael is a firefighter, and he's been working during the Gulf War to put out all the flaming oil wells. Just so happens one of these oil wells was in a bad location, and now Michael has found himself
で、ここは、
down below.
急にこう年代新しくなります。1991年です。
All right, so that
Ooh, that's a really
tricky zombie right there. All right, we have time for one donation right here.
All right, we've got $200 from Saturn New Hakai. They say, I woke up specifically for this run. Hope everyone is in good health, but just in case, Narokath, Sandak, Chaturga.
で、ここは、あれっすね。
Was
ペルシャの遺跡ですね。
Yeah.
See, it works. We're doing it.
こちら、
All my stamina is back.
一番最初に出てきたダンジョンですかね。
Okay, life puzzle.
Chat's so helpful, reminding you to chat, restoring your health like that. It's awesome.
Okay. So we're gonna see a little bit of multicast. I'm just gonna mention that out there, so it's in the back
こ
of
こ
your
でエターナル
brain,
ダークネスの書を手に。
bugging you, because we're actually gonna explain it later. Okay, we don't quite have a lot of time to explain it
まあ、
right now.
手のなんか光を合わせる謎解きは、まあ、
Into another one and linking them together. Details
Ma-
are
ma
gonna be
cira
later
見るんで。
on Alex. So something important about Michael, and I got very lucky, is we cannot control sanity effects right here. Just like Cass mentioned, we lost our explosion, which means I cannot manipulate them anymore. I actually need to go for the luck on this chapter. That also means that
ロベルトとエドワードの書はバグ技の使用にスキップ可能で、発言者はおそらくパンドラさんです。
completely skip a puzzle of the game
なるほ
where
ど
you need to
ね。
confuse two enemies. Because we used to
いや、確かにそうですよ。このゲームの RTA どうやっても2時間ぐらいかかるのに、急に1時間半切ってますからね。
on the horrors, on
そ
two
うですよ
enemies that need to。
おかしいと思ったよ。
So it can be a very long fight. We're gonna see about that.
Yeah, an interesting trick here. Pandora is going to get a sanity effect here, and she's actually going to use this to her benefit because if you cast a spell during a sanity
そ
effect,
して、
the effects still happen, but you get your
石
magic
柱
back.
があったの
And
で
with Michael not having a lot of magic,
それを
that's actually really
吹き
important.
飛ばし。いや、今のもうまいな。
Very good trappers.
なんでしょう。
And
地面の
use these two enemies.
ピカピカ光ってるのに触れると
This is a bind spell.
異世界に飛ばされちゃうんですけど、
So it's a confused-
もう一回戻ってくるから、
confused
あそこで
thing. They're gonna fight each other.
誘
First one that takes it,
なんでしょう。
and the puzzle
誘っておい
is
て
barrier
帰り道安全に通り抜けるって
This
いう。
fight can basically take between 4 seconds, which is the insta kill. We call that the sacred insta
完璧
kill,
ですね。
and a minute and 10, which is a lot of variation. So right here we are on like 20 seconds, I think, so far. So this is already over average. Average is on 23. That was a double arm attack. Those are the
しば
strongest
しこ
ones.
の
So
殴り合い
I
を
think it was
ご覧
like
くださ
30
い。
seconds.
で、それ
Still
そ
pretty
それ
alright.
にスーッと抜け
Sometimes
て
the、trappers will do, I mean, the
Plastic
horrors will do
wrap
their attacks. Sometimes they like to just yell and make loud noises.
お手で。
Yeah, and that's actually very bad because they don't attack while they're yelling. Okay, health is a little bit low, so I'm a little bit scared, but the good thing is we actually can use recoveries. If I'm in trouble, I'm gonna use one, so...
Here, Michael's entering the end part of the chapter. He's basically being told via the... oh, you need items, don't you?
まあ、ここの建物自体がこう、最悪を招いてるから壊しちゃえ
He
よっ
needs
て
to
いう。
plant some C4 basically. He needs to magically enchant it and
そう
blow
ですね。
his
かなり
area
こ
to
う、
smithereens. So
アメリカン
that's
な
kind of the
アメリ
plot
カン
going
な
on.
条例っていうん
The
ですか
voices
ね。
are telling him to do that. And then there's going to be a nice little escape sequence, a la, is it RE? Which RE is it?
Almost all of them.
画面に見える黄色い床はダメージを受ける床なんですが、
This might look a little familiar.
一定時間ね、ダメージを、肩代わりしてくれるエンチャントを使って通り抜けていき
You
ま
can't
す。
say that. You're not allowed to say that.
Not me. I've definitely played all of them. Every single,
Nice.
I think 8
Okay,
of them.
that makes it even.
Okay, cool. It cancels out.
こ
Nice.
こにワームがいます。
All
All
right,
right,
and
we're gonna
now,
do a
でワームがいるんですが、もうそれはほっといて、
yep, and as I mentioned,
爆弾を設置して、
she's doing a magic
お
pool.
決まりの
She chose the green one to keep her stamina up and restored.
一定時間
It's actually really
ば
important in
爆
this
破
chapter.
するから逃げろ
You're
っていう
running by, you just
や
run
つ
by
で
a
すね。
lot of
お決まりの
monsters, no
お決まりのや
combat.
つです。
It's not hard to find your way out. The level changes enough that it pretty much guides you all the way out. But if you run out of sanity every time you get a sanity hit from a creature, instead you lose some of your health. And there's a lot of creatures on the way out. So if you don't keep
い
your
つもの流
sanity
れで
up,
すね。
next thing you know, you find yourself taking a lot of damage. And if once you take enough damage, you actually even slow down. Your character is injured enough; they have trouble moving. And with the fact that there's a couple of horrors
はい、で、
coming up in this last area, if you're moving slowly here, those horrors will take you out. It's a small thing, but it can kill a run if you don't have that.
さあこのまま遺跡を
So
脱
keep your
出していき
sanity up, Chad. Remember, very important. Okay, we're getting to the last one. So this is gonna be chapter 12. Alex herself, the girl, the legend.
でこのマイケルは生存するんですが、遺跡を爆破してしまったことで、このエンシャントっていう敵陣営に命を狙われる羽目になります。
Because I want to concentrate right here.
Yeah, no problem. Well, so to start off with, she's going to do some more no magic messages to avoid some sanity effects. Like I said, no more explosion. We're going to pick up the package. Give us the Gladius.
自らの死期が迫っていることを気がついたエドワードが、気がついたマイケルはエドワードに謎の小包を渡すという流れですね。
You won't see it on this one, but again, if you want to see an enchanted
それは
gladius,
秘宝ですね、秘宝。
we just gotta get 100%
Just got to get 100%
on the
in.
next one.
Yep.
これで秘宝が3つ
So
揃うのか
coming
な。
up, there's going to be a light puzzle, basically. She's going to try to finish this as the same time that she's summoning a trapper. The similar thing to with Lindsay's chapter when he showed up and he was like an invisible guy with a floating gun. It's a similar thing. There's going to be a cutscene that shows off the basement to the next place you want to go. And Alex isn't invisible in this cutscene like with Lindsay, but she is off screen. So
でここまで秘宝を集めてきたんですが、なんで集めてきたかというと、 まあ、最初ね、のチュートリアルのところで、3すくみのうちの1つを解き放ってしまったんで、そのなんか邪神みたいなのが蘇ろうとしているわけですね。で、それが解き放ってしまうと世界が崩壊してしまうよと。いうことで、その邪神にどうやって抵抗しようってなった時に、その3すくみを思い出してください。その3すくみの、最初に選んだ3すくみの中の強いのを選択して、そいつを蘇らせて、で、邪神と戦わせれば勝てるじゃないかという理論ですね。いわゆるその化け物には化け物をぶつけるというお話。
So it's a little bit busted right now. Alex has to go around and try to repair it because she's going to try to cast a massive spell. Pius has been taking 2,000 years to summon his ancient into this plane of reality.
とりあえずそのもう化け物を
enslave humanity and so forth.
召喚できる準備は整ったよという感じです。
Basically use a 9-point spell using these gigantic pillars in the city. Each point is one pillar, and she's going to summon an ancient of her own that will cancel the other ancient out, and they'll have an ancient battle.
Yeah, there's actually a very interesting like rock scissors, rock paper scissors, scissors paper. How do you say it?
Rock paper scissors. Yeah.
There you go. And it's kind of like it works just like
勝っ
Pokemon.
た、もし勝ったらどうなるかっていうのは、まあ、この後わかります。
Oh, reminder to save after this.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, when Edward cast his big dispel, it damaged the city and took all its power out. So Pandora, as Alex, is repairing that tablet, putting the artifacts on, and recharging the city. Now it is.
今度この9つの
big 9-point spell casting machine.
これを作動させるという流れです。
2,000 years for Pius. It's gonna take
作動させて、ワープ
Exactly. Now we can finally talk about
して、 そのワープ先になんか適切なスペルのものを置く感じですね。ここちゃんとこのなんでこれを置くのかっていうのは後ほどわかります。
Doing your cast, then a enchant item and cancel to let you move, then cast another spell, do another enchant item and move, and cancel to move. The only problem is if you do too many of those, you crash the game.
で、9つあるんで、非常にめんどくさいです。
Yeah, not like that ever has happened to me, though.
Yeah.
非常にめんどくさいです。ここはとにかくめんどくさいです。
Exactly. Not like 2 days ago?
なんか作動すればするほどなんか厄介なところに飛ばされたりするんで、べらぼうに時間がかかってしまう。
Worm warp. Yes. It does involve a worm or two. Worm warp involves a puzzle in this next room. Normally you're supposed to sneak on this purple section of the floor. Otherwise there's kind of like a hallucination state. There's you have to go into this sepia version of the room. And then you have to regain your sanity, and then it resets the room.
いや、そうなんですよね。終盤になってくると、異世界に飛ばしてくるトラッパーが大体どこにもいるっていうね。現れましたね。
So keep your eye on the sanity meter. It's going to restore in a room or two from now. And Pandora is going to use that to her advantage to reset this sepia state. Basically, with that summoning the 2 trappers there, it messes with the worms and it glitches out. And so she just carries forward this weird sepia hallucination. And she'll use that to get her sanity up to that threshold that I mentioned. And she'll reset to an origin point of a different room and skip a whole puzzle that is super long.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the old days for a little bit. You know, right here. Sepia effect.
この国だったのは手紙を使ったからかな。なんか手紙使うとどうなるんだっけ？
Okay, there's some
ちょっとこれはなんか RTA 用の仕様っぽいですね。
Yeah, so this is target running. As we've said before, trappers, they don't see you, they can only hear you. So what the game intends for you to do is to sneak around them so they don't teleport you to the trapper dimension. What we do is it looks a bit like stair skating in Resident Evil Remake. Basically, you just pump the run button so you get a bit of extra speed without alerting the trappers to the fact that you're there.
これで4つか。
And incoming is number 3, the Zoo of Enga.
なんか、最終章に入る前は、あれこれワールドレコード更新あるかなと思ったけど、そうでしたね。これがありますからね。そうでした。こっから長くなるんだな。長くなるっていうか、長い。
And the last rats of the run. I hope you enjoy it.
ネズミの餌にもなってしまい。
The barrier that keeps you from leaving this room just disappears. That's all you have to do. A little fun Easter egg is in that room. In the background, some of the models in there are old models from the N64 version of Eternal Darkness that they were working on.
You also saw Pandora cast that sanity pool, so that's floating behind her. And she's timing this exactly so that as soon as she goes into the next room, it'll get to that threshold we mentioned for the sanity, and it'll reset the sepia effect.
この辺は
to the origin point of that
このゲームのっていうか、
and that would be
なんでしょうね。
It skips a whole
このゲームの終盤特有のなんかめんどくさいのを象徴してる感じです。
And it's a very slow, miserable mess for them to fight each other and clear the barrier. But there you go. Now it's gone.
And it's actually really lucky that that happens because in the original room, you actually just get teleported back to the teleporter you used to get in. But for some reason in that room, it teleports you to the entrance. It's very useful.
Thank you, developers, for putting that.
どうでしたっけねこれ64でしたっけね
Okay, so we're going for number 2. So this gives us time for one.
この奏者の方は女性の方ですね。チリかな
Nintendo donates $64 and they say amazing Eternal Darkness run Pandora Jane. So when do you think you'll be playing Eternal Darkness Sanity's Redemption at a GDQ event? what do you mean? That was just a sanity effect?
Yeah, no, that's
so much
for the
that
next
donation.
one. Ooh.
It's coming soon.
Yeah.
結構
That's gonna be my next.
結構南米の方にはですね、結構
Okay, so
なんで
this
しょう
reveal right here, we're
超
making
絶
a
テクを持
reveal,
ったホラーゲー RTA 女性奏者の方がいましてね。
into
何個前だったかな
which parts we do first.
レベッカ RE さんとかもあれブラジルの方ですね。
You know, have like similar puzzles. So this reveal right here reveals a piece of the floor that you are not allowed to step into because I guess you're too scared or something because there's actually nothing bad there, but whatever. Actually, there's an invisible wall. Okay, it's because of that. But yeah, we also use this to reveal some trappers. Okay, so there's gonna be some trappers incoming after this pillar right here. We're gonna activate this one early, so it doesn't bother me on my way back. And then on this room, if you don't enter with a reveal, you're gonna see a very long cutscene of these trappers.
結構なんか64末期をなんか作り直しみたいなのは確かに。バイオゼロとかもそうです。うわーもうトラッパーめっちゃいるのもこれもう悪意しかないですよねここ。うわひどいステージだな。うわひどいよこのステージ本当に。もう触れたら異世界に飛ばされるやつこんなに配置してるんだからね。これはちょっとね。これは悪意がすごいな悪意が。
Like on 2019 or I guess even
あれ飛ばせるとただ遅延されるだけですからね。
There might be some fireworks over here.
これもすごいな。こんなところにこんなに配置するかっていう。
With better luck, you can actually, yeah, with good luck, the green one is
何が何でもっていう。
you can just get a whole light show there.
強い意志を感じますね。
So last assignment of the run. What am I doing here? I'm doing a free guess to get a pull into a shield. So there you can see very well with this camera how multicast works and how you can link two spells together. So just to put it on perspective, and like, so you can understand how cool Free Cast
だって
is.
そろそろこの
You know, back then we used
9つの
stand still
エンチャントルーンの配置
and when you
も
have
は
spells of level 7,
あ
you
と
know,
1
that's 5 seconds. Every time you do a spell of level 7, 5 seconds, you have to put, your controller down. You're not doing anything. You're just waiting. You also cannot get damage, otherwise it kind of gets cancelled. Now you can just move all the time. So Enga actually, it's now a much more entertaining segment because of that.
終わったみたいですね。
Now we're about to
で
find
これ
out
で
if we picked the
ルーン
correct
の配
rules.
置が終わったので、
We did.
Nice.
Yay!
Free cast might be the most important trick we've discovered, just because not only the
ワー
time
プできるように
savings
なりますよ
from
と。
the casting themselves, but all the additional tricks
い
that
や
are
ーな、
discovered because of that.
いやー長いですね。はい。これ初見のとこだとこの9つじゃないですよ。1時間ぐらいかかるんじゃないですか。
And then 2 frames that crashed the game. And it seems that we didn't get the 2 bad frames.
Hey, there we
そう
go.
ですね。やっぱパンドラさんは、とりあえず自分の知ってる限りだと、ここ5年ずっとエターナルダークネスなんで、それはねっていう。
So you're able to cancel it. Voila, there's no barrier. And you can just go on. But yeah, that one can be very scary. That's what I say before. So something for you to take into account is I've been saving this entire run. I'm losing like a minute on saving just to make the marathon safe, because this game doesn't have autosave, it's some older times we have to save manually. I did another save there for the last fight, which is Pious. So I'm probably not gonna be talking a whole lot during Pious.
で、これで、ラスボスですね。ラスボスのバイアス。最初のプレイしたキャラクターの
Yeah, here's
ローマ兵みたいなや
Pius.
つです
So,
ね。で、銃は一切効かなくて、
while that's going on, Pius and Alex have
エ
to
ン
fight
チ
each
ャント
other.
をかけたグラディウスで戦いま
Alex
す。
has a sword, and that's all? Question mark. And Pius has a staff made of a spine and like hips on top of it. It's pretty badass. Basically, they're gonna have to be Pandora's gonna be hitting Pius with Alex, and
で
then
まあ、
in between.
とあることをやるとですね、ここに来る前に光のグラディウスっていう、なんかファイナルソードみたいなのが手に入るんですけど、あれ、なんかショットガンにエンチャントかけてるけど、どうする気だ？あ、やっぱグラディウスだよね。そうだよね。
Also no crash. Let's go. That's the first thing that
グラ
has
ディウ
to
スにエ
align
ン
for
チャン
us.
トかけ
No
て、
crash on the pause.
Yep. Make sure all the right items are set up in the inventory. Otherwise, you
パ
crash
ー
on
ン
your
とやっ
first
てい
pause.
くと。
The spawns for this artifact are random, but we can kind of manipulate them by positioning ourselves correctly. So far, this is a really good artifact phase just because of how close.
で、そう
it
すると、エ
spawns.
ターナルダークネスの書にの犠牲者たちが出てくるとい
Can't
う、
be good all the time. So we
結
got
構胸熱なイベント、胸熱というか、
that's a
という
we
演
call
出。
bad artifact. And again,
That's
just like Nono
commentator's
said,
curse right there. The moment they said it's good.
exactly. You can control it. You can just get better chances, and that's why I was trying to get.
いや、
we call that
この
artifact
バイ、
manipulation.
パイアスは、ただのしもべなんで、本体の、
But yeah, once you
エ
kind
ン
of
シャン
lose
ト
your
ですね。
streak of good
このなんか、
artifacts, it's
抜
really
けた歯
hard
みたいな、これ、
to go back
これある
to
じゃないです
good
か。
artifacts.
これを攻撃
It's
攻
really
撃して最後
important
こわ
not to get
倒すっていう
hit
流れです
during any of the ghost phases because that brings you back to Alex, and then you have to hit the artifact again and then do that ghost again. So it loses a lot of time every time you get hit as a ghost.
Pius was so far away there.
This whole sequence also really
いや
helps
これちょっともしかしたらあれ君いたっていうあれあこいつはあこれはいましたねこれはいた
Oh, these artifacts.
Yeah,
This is terrible.
just moving from one end of the hall to the other.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna go for the last one right here.
We'll also see.
With our boy.
We'll see one ghost.
Sir, not appear.
We have no idea who this is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't know who this is. But he's our boy anyways.
Sir, not appearing in this game.
These horror games with the
あれ
cut content.
これは知らない。
Where's the
誰だこの人。
Okay, this is very good position.
All right.
あれ
so coming up, Pandora's
知らないぞ、
animation
この人。
canceling to use the most broken weapon in the game.
で、なんか知らないおっさんがエンシャントを倒してくれました。
A couple rooms ago, that'll come into effect. She has to
さすが
have really
隠
good
しキャラです
positioning
ね。
because too close. And,
さすが、あ、このために招かれたんですね。
Far away, it doesn't do that much damage, so.
Yeah,
You
and
need
after
to-
a while he gets some shields that really nullify your damage. Oh, she did it.
Yep. You need the Gladius for the first part of the fight, but once the artifact is destroyed,
エンシャント壊れた後は銃が入るのかな。
and
Yeah,
well, who
and
needs a
time.
sword when you've got a shotgun?
Time is coming in 3, 2, 1, time.
All
There you
right.
go. Nice. All right, that was pretty good. How was the time?
で、GG ですね。で、これで、大怪獣バトルが始まります。
Stop
Whoa.
130 with the saves. Jesus.
That's the third ever Sub 130.
The Roberta skip was so good.
Sub 130
Yeah.
and marathon. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, that's really good. So you know something interesting. If I wouldn't do a record last week, this would have been a record.
Yeah.
But
少なくとも当分の間は大丈夫だねって
it's
いう、
126 something. So
ちょっと意味深な、
in
ね
any case, this was
Yeah.
very good.
当
run.
分はね。
Lots of hype in chat for you.
Nice. So I hope everyone really liked this game. This game is awesome. You should really run this game if you want to do it. Have a lot of tutorials out there. We are a small yet active community. If you ask anything on the Discord, we have a Discord for speedruns of the game. We're gonna answer there. I'm always willing to help runners. Also, if you don't want to run it, just play it. It's a great game. Like, it holds up very well. Awesome game for its time, and even today. Just remember to save because it's not auto save. Remember to do that. Like you remind me in the middle of the run. And something very important. I want to give some shout outs. So I need to give big shout outs to Sir. Sir, like I mentioned in the interview before, is the one great MVP, master legend, glitch hunter of this game. Most of the technology we have
で
in
も
this
1
game
時間29分って相当早いんじゃないです
doesn't
か。
run the game, but he just keeps discovering stuff.
確かこの方の自己ベストが1時間28とかじゃないか。
Thanks to Sir discovering stuff and then me pushing, you know, the game with the things that Sir discovered. Also, shout outs to Toast that has helped
1時間23分なの？
hacking the game.
え、この人また早くなってるじゃん。
With
嘘
just all the hacking abilities you can imagine, basically. And of course, the all runners, you know, like Swiken making some big stuff before Wormtalon, and of course,
あれ
No,
なんか
Figure
つい
also
この
run
前
for this
ちょっと
era.
この方結構見てるんですけ
You know,
ど、
the oldest
1
SDA
時間半切ったよってイエーイってなってたら、
Mandy, Spiral
いやすごい。
and Ulsco.
マジか。まだ早い。
Important. All-
もう無理だよ
everyone
みたいなこと言ってたのに
and。everyone else is on the Discord.
騙
Thank you for
騙したな俺のことを。
and yeah, and thank you for having me.
全然無理じゃないじゃん。
And follow Pandora_Jane at
とて
twitch.tv.
も面白いので、ぜひこれのゲームのスピードラン走ってくださいと、ディスコードも準備してしまっておりますし、ガイドもたくさんありますので、ぜひ走ってくださいというふうにおっしゃってましたね。
そうです
お疲れ
ね。
様でした。エターナルダークネス、招かれた11人、Any% ノーカットシーストレンジ、ロベルトとエドワードの敵名から、記録は1時間29分03秒でした。
そうです。気になる方はですね、パンドラさんのディスコードに入るとですね、膨大な資料がありますからね。
Holy buckets, what a run that was. Thank you
膨大な
so much,
攻略資料
Pandora
があります。
Jane. That menuing, I have so many
気になる方は
comments
見て
here just blown
はい、奏者
away
のパン
by
ド
your
ラ、
menuing, your skill.
ジェーンさんお疲れ様でした。それから解説のソードフィッシュさんも、パンを走られた直後の解説でしたが、どうもありがとうございました。では、次のゲームまで少しお待ちください。
はい。次も私です。はい。
そうですね。現在このチャンネルではアメリカのチャリティー RT イベント、オーサムゲームズダンクイックの日本語再配信を行っています。本イベントに寄せられたご支援は、米国内でがんの予防早期発見のための研究費の助成や啓発活動を行うプリベントキャンサーファウンデーションに寄付されます。 そういえば最近映画マトリックスの最新作公開されたんですけど、皆さんご覧になりましたか？主人公のネオン演じるキアヌ・リーブスの妹さんがかつて不世紀の癌である白血病と戦っていて、で、キアヌさんも治療法の研究のために多額の寄付をされていたそうです。白血病は昔はね、不治の名前の代名詞でしたけれども、今は種類によっては比較的な治う確率の高い癌になりました。アメリカで研究が進むことで、日本のがん患者もその恩恵を受けることができるかもしれません。日本からちょっとね、寄付の仕方難しいんですけども、関連グッズの購入等もできますので、ご関心のある方はぜひご確認ください。それでは次のゲームの開始まで少々お待ちください。
We're gonna take it away with just a little break. Get up, stretch, hydrate, feel good, because we've got more great games coming up right after this. All right, welcome back to AGDQ 2022 online, powered by Twitch. I am the Kyle Thomas, and I am still reeling from that Eternal Darkness run. I took, I don't know, 1,000 hours to beat that game, mostly because I was too scared to continue on at any given moment. I would have to turn the lights on and wait until daytime again. This has just been a wonderful horror block. Despite being scared of the games, I love the speed runs. We still have so many awesome donations with wonderful comments here for Eternal Darkness. I'm going to read a few more of them here. We've got Comedy Reflux. They gave $10. They say Eternal Darkness is in my top 3 favorite games. My favorite game that never got a sequel. Thanks for putting it in GDQ. Well, Comedy Reflux, as somebody who had literally nothing to do with putting it into GDQ, you are welcome. I'm very glad it was in here. And I've got, oh my gosh, I can't believe, I'm sure this is done 1,000 times, but I had to do it. We've got $50 from Lost, who says, Eternal darkness, my old friend. Thank you very much. I have to imagine that that is done every time someone plays it, possibly. D gives $25. They say, you know what really drains my sanity? The crazy rate these donations are coming in. The Eldritch gods are on our side. Thank you so much for that donation. We really appreciate it. Speaking of which, when you're given these wonderful, generous donations, you get a chance to put them towards a bunch of different incentives. And right now, we're getting ready to play Kuon. And we have a bid war that's going to close any second now, which is going to be the yin phase versus the yang phase. And I have direct word in my ear from the runner that the yang phase is the way to do it. So that is currently behind by a $300-ish. So if you got a little last-second snipe, or if we got a big team who's going to do a collective snipe, let's go ahead and try to get that in here quick. We also have a bonus game, which is Rocket League, which is, you know, soccer cars is just one of the best things to watch out there. That bonus game is a $100,000 incentive, and we're very early in raising money for it. We've got about $8,000 right now, so we want to definitely extend GDQ as long as possible. We want all of the people back in the studio to have to stay there as long as we want them to, which is forever. So make sure you're getting those donations, and we really appreciate it. I've got a donation for $25 here from Don Fawn on your lawn. They say, jumping on the spoopy dono train. Choo choo. Thank you so much for that donation. I really appreciate it. That's right, we're in the spoopy dono train here in the horror block. Coming up here in just a second, we're going to have Kuon, which, as we all know, is absolutely the best FromSoft game. We've got $5 from Alex. They say, this donation is dedicated to my fiance who loves dad jokes and Eternal Darkness.